Joining me is Donald Trump's first White House spokesman, Sean Spicer. Sean Spicer, great to see you. This meeting, Xi Jinping rings up Donald Trump, says, hey, come over to Beijing. And by the way, Taiwan, that's a red line for us. And it comes just as Donald Trump is negotiating a peace deal with Ukraine. Do you think this is Xi Jinping trying to, get involved in international politics, peace deals being made around him? He wants to be part of it.
It's nice that it's actually looks like it's locked down. One, President Trump going to Beijing. As you recall, I was at that meeting when, in the first term, President Xi came to Mar-a-Lago. So we'll now go back, and then President Trump says he's locked down a second meeting. But there's no question Xi Jinping is obviously trying to throw a lot more onto the agenda, whether it's help on the Ukraine deal, Taiwan, rare earth minerals. There's going to be a lot. I mean, the funny thing is, I'm surprised that it took this long to state the obvious.
What do you think the relationship between these two guys is like at the moment? Because I was struck at their last meeting, about 3 months ago. Donald Trump went out of his way to praise Xi Jinping, say, what a great job he was doing, blah, blah. Xi Jinping did not respond in kind, did not praise Donald Trump once. What's going on here? What's the balance of power between these two guys?
Xi Jinping didn't look like he was having fun either. He didn't smile. I think in both cases, it's about domestic audiences, first and foremost. So the easy one is Xi Jinping. I think that he wants to portray strength to his own people, that it doesn't look like he's standing up to the American president, that it's not just friendly, that it's business. That's what they really want. I think that's overall the Chinese. And I think for President Trump, you saw this with Zohran Mamdani here in the United States. President Trump not just thinks, he likes to meet a challenge. So you tell him that he can't get a deal with somebody, he wants to get a deal even more, meet with that person, engage with them. I think that one of the things that is pretty obvious with President Trump, though, is that too many people try to read tea leaves on every meeting. The bottom line is it's transactional. Donald Trump will always sit down with people to have a meeting. But at the end of the day, if you offend him, if you cross him, he will come right after you 2 seconds later. The meeting is just that. It's a meeting. Writ large, though, I think both guys get that there's a lot of important issues. So that there's domestic constituencies, as I mentioned, that both are playing to. But then I think that at least from President Trump, from what I can understand, and I was there in the first term, he does have a relationship with him. I was there at that dinner with him in the first term. I know that he has spoken with him afterwards. And this is the thing that sometimes in the back of your head, and this is true in business, in foreign policy, where you can develop a warm and comfortable relationship with someone. But at the end of the day, you've got to remember a deal's a deal. What is it that is your outside interest? And in this case, obviously, domestic constituencies here in the United States. But I think they do enjoy a warm personal friendship. But I think especially in the case of Xi Jinping, he can't let people see that in China.
Yeah, well, I thought both George W. Bush and Donald Trump thought they had some sort of personal relationship with Vladimir Putin, only to find out he's a double-crossing snake. But who knows? I really think, can't help but think there's a link here between Donald Trump looking like he's getting some sort of peace deal over Ukraine. We don't know yet. Putin's got to approve it as well. That's been worked out with Marco Rubio. China is Russia's biggest friend, biggest ally, most dependent. It actually said, its foreign minister once said, we do not, an end to the war there would not suit us. What do you think China would want from this, and where is this peace deal actually going?
First of all, it's multidimensional. You got Russia. They've got interest in Venezuela, where the president's obviously considering military action. So, I mean, there's a lot that China is working on. I have a feeling that you mentioned this earlier, Andrew, and I think you were right on when you said it the first time. I think this is all going to come back to Taiwan, right? Which is, hey, you have some interest in Ukraine. We have a lot of sway over Russia. You've got some interest in Venezuela. We've got some relationship and sway over Maduro. But I'll tell you what, why don't we trade all that for us reunifying what we believe is rightfully China's in Taiwan? So I believe that this will ultimately all come down to Taiwan.
That's a very Interesting observation, Sean Spicer. That'll scare Taiwan, which I must say, like most of Europe, has not done enough for its own defence and has relied a bit too much on America. Let's see what it does there. Do you think they should worry about Donald Trump selling them out?
Here's the reality, and this is all unclassified information. But when you realize the reality of this, which is China's going to do it, it's a question of when. Then the big existential question is, will the United States have their back? When you look at all of these models that have been forecast out about what a war at sea would cost, lives in Taiwan, lives to the U.S. military, infrastructure of the U.S. military, both in terms of land assets and obviously ships, it doesn't look good. And so the question really is, how long are we going to kick the can down the road? I mean, that's what's happening. And Taiwan, as you mentioned, really hasn't done enough to step up. But here's the one thing that we have to keep in mind. Taiwan controls basically the entirety of the chip making capabilities in the U.S. and in the world. And right now, the U.S. is at least, by probably the best case scenario, 5 years behind even these plants and these investments that have been made in Arizona. Any realistic person who knows the issue suggests that probably you're looking closer to 8 to 10 years. But let's just say 5 years. We're still not that capable. And do you really, the United States or anyone else, want to put your entire technological lot in with Taiwan and hoping that China will continue to give you access to it? I don't think so. And that's the one thing that we can't let lose sight of.
Absolutely correct. Sean Spicer, thank you so much for your time.
You bet, Andrew. Thank you for having me again.